Hello and welcome everyone. This is Type V3 and today we're analyzing the Decepticons' most logical team member. This is the Transformers Prime Beast Hunters Voyager class Shockwave. For starters, Shockwave's alt mode is certainly a thing. The box claims it to be a tank, but I think you'll need a little more than just imagination alone to see it. From my view, if Shockwave were a dog, then this is what he'd look like. Metal Gear Solid fans will definitely pick up on the similarities to the Shagohod design, but for everyone else, the majority of this alt mode will probably leave you confused and uninterested. It's not all bad though, as certain aspects viewed in isolation are rather nice. The sculpted surface detail is clean and thoughtful, unlike most Transformers who seem to just have random textures plastered all over them. The paint, while minimal, is a nice bright silver that easily highlights certain features, and the shade of purple that most of the plastic's been cast in is quite appealing, though I don't think it would have hurt to have gone a shade darker or even metallic. Now, Shockwave does have 4 wheels on his undercarriage, however, they're all kind of sticky, so when you try and roll them, well, you're more or less just dragging him across the surface, which honestly is fine considering you can't see them. Now, his big gimmick is the cannon, and if you push the button, that's right, it spins and sorta opens. I like it. It's simple, it's self-contained. My only gripe is that you can't lock it in an activated position. It's not that big of a deal, though, so I don't really think that's a complaint. Now, that's all I really have to say about this sort of abstract design, so let's just move on with the video. Transforming Shockwave is a breeze. All you're really doing is standing him up and unfolding his limbs. Because of this, I found the whole experience to be unsatisfying. However, it's not because of the simple concept, but instead there wasn't a single aspect to it that I found to be clever or innovative. There's no challenge to it, and I felt like I was going through the motions rather than solving a puzzle. Unfortunately, Shockwave's entire transformation was disappointing and left a lot to be desired. On the other hand, the robot mode that it reveals is probably one of the most wonderful looking iterations of the Decepticon scientist yet. It's large, well-proportioned, and hugely intimidating. Yes, there are parts to it that don't entirely line up with the show model, but it still manages to strike that same sense of fear. Again, painted details are lacking, but I found the sharp sculpted sections easily make up for it. The head sculpt is full of crisp angles, layered lines, and that beautifully mesmerizing eye. If I have any gripes, it would be with Shockwave's backside. Saying it looks hollow would be an overstatement, but certain parts do seem barren. Make no mistake though, Shockwave is just awesome to look at. Looking at articulation, Shockwave has a swivel for a neck. No ball joint, so no up and down, just side to side, which is a little bit of a disappointment, but I guess for this character that's quite alright. The shoulders themselves have a swivel here, and then there's a second hinge on the inside of this giant shoulder pad where it can come in and out. The neat thing though is this shoulder pad is on a spring-loaded joint. So when you move out the arms, they always come and close in on it, so that they're never left hanging out there, and I thought that's really cool and neat. Another thing is they have an in and out joint here, which I only ever see on higher end toys, so it's nice to see these things kind of trickle down into the retail stuff. Nice bicep swivel and a single jointed elbow with a ball jointed wrist. The other arm, of course, has all the same features, but what's interesting is where they place the, I guess, bicep swivel. The cut is up here, whereas on this arm it's at the joint, so it's really interesting to see that kind of stuff. Also, he retains his firing gimmick, for those wondering. There is no waist swivel. The hips are on ratchet joints, which I'm not a fan of. There's the good back and forward motion, but the in and out has these huge clicks, and so if you want a wide-legged stance, that is the best you're going to get. And otherwise, you get the prim and proper, which is not really what I'm into. I kind of wish there just was a click in between so you can get some slight wide-legged stances, and also maybe if his feet were cut on an angle so that he would always be standing a little bit legs apart. I hate it when Transformers are just like this. It's just so boring and dull. But anyways, nice thigh swivel right there, and I love how it's covered. I always love it when these when designers do that. There's also a knee swivel and a ratcheted knee, so that's cool. And of course, because of transformation, you have the ankle joint, which you can't really use, but I figured I would mention it anyway. Apart from that, the only other thing I want to mention is I love how they made the tank tread the belt feed for the gun. I thought that was really smart, and I think it looks really cool. My only issue is that when you move his arm back, it tends to pull the backpack out of place, and that's because this cable is just so stiff and it kind of clips on here. Again, small issues, but other than that, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, as a whole articulation, there is a lot to be desired, and more specifically in the lower region, I think the top half is fine as it is. You know, ankles would have been nice to have. smaller clicks in the ratchets have been cool to have as well. But I think everything is pretty serviceable, and you know, it's good for what it is. Shockwave also comes with these beast armor attachments, which aren't very impressive to say the least. They're all done in a soft, pliable plastic and clip onto various sections of the figure in either mode. I'm not a fan of how they look, and they feel like they were sort of a wasted effort on Hasbro's part, especially since they don't ever appear in the actual show. Most Transformers can objectively be judged on their three basic functions: Alt Mode, Transformation, and Robot Mode. And the way I see it, as long as two of these areas succeed, then the toy can be classified as good. Regrettably for Shockwave, his only redeeming quality is the superb Robot Mode. The Alt Mode was an abstract mess, the Transformation uninspired, and the Beast Hunter armor add-ons didn't benefit the toy at all. He's a figure where aesthetic tastes will play a bigger role in your judgment of him. At its $25 retail price, there's certainly a lot included in the box, but enjoyment of the entirety of the contents will definitely vary. Ultimately, I found Shockwave to be a much better action figure as opposed to the Transformer he's claiming to be. Anyways, this has been Type V3, and thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Transformers review, and I'll see you next time.